Think back to the last time you bought groceries a decade ago. A $50 bill used to buy a cart overflowing with food. But if you take that exact same $50 bill to the store today, you'll walk out with a cart that's barely half full. Welcome back to Staiblocks. Today, we are exploring the engine behind that shrinking grocery cart, using the official inflation Wikipedia page as our guide. When you ring up your items and see a higher total, it is tempting to blame the grocery store for hiking up prices. But what is actually happening is that your currency itself is losing its purchasing power. It takes more dollars to buy the exact same loaf of bread. This diagram shows what economists call a basket of goods. To measure inflation accurately, they don't just look at one item. They build a master grocery cart filled with the essentials an average person needs to survive, like housing, energy, and food. This is the Consumer Price Index. This chart shows how the total cost of that specific basket changes year after year. By tracking the price today against what it cost a year ago, economists calculate the official inflation rate. Inflation is a measurement of physical reality. It tells us how much your money shrinks in value relative to the things you need to stay alive. There are two main drivers that push these prices upward across an entire economy. Economists call them demand pull and cost push. Let's start with demand pull. Imagine our grocery store is running a massive sale, but they only have a handful of physical carts available for shoppers to use. When a huge influx of buyers, all with cash to spend, starts competing for a limited supply of goods, they pull prices upward. Everyone is willing to pay a little bit more to make sure they don't leave empty-handed. The second engine is cost push. Here, we stop looking at the shoppers and instead look at the people trying to stock the shelves. Consider the farmers, the factory workers, and the truck drivers. Look at this flowchart. If a severe drought ruins a wheat harvest or an energy crisis doubles the cost of diesel for the delivery trucks, those workers have to cover their new expenses. They raise their prices, which pushes those extra costs right down the chain to your checkout receipt. Whether prices rise because too much money is chasing too few goods, or because goods become more expensive to produce, the end result is the same: a drop in your purchasing power. When either of those engines runs out of control, we enter an extreme called hyperinflation. This is a scenario where your grocery cart shrinks so fast that the money in your wallet becomes practically worthless. This technical source image is a banknote printed in Germany in 1923. Denominations ran into the millions and billions, showing how quickly the math of a currency can break down. This photograph shows modern Venezuela, where people have been forced to carry massive fans of banknotes just to pay for basic needs. In a hyperinflation crisis, everyone rushes to spend their paychecks the moment they receive them. They have to buy what they need immediately, before the prices jump again just a few hours later. When prices move that fast, people lose trust in the currency itself. And without a trusted currency, the foundation of an economy shatters. If a shrinking grocery cart is painful, it seems like the goal for a government should be exactly zero inflation. The Federal Reserve, pictured here, manages the economy with a specific goal in mind. They want the cost of that basket of goods to rise by about 2% every year. They aim for 2% because they want to avoid the opposite problem, deflation. Deflation is when prices actually drop over time. While falling prices sound great, they trigger a behavioral trap. If you know a new car will be cheaper next month, you will delay your spending today. You wait for the better deal. But when everyone in a country waits, spending stops. Businesses lose their income, they are forced to fire workers, and those workers then have even less money to spend. The entire economy can freeze. A day of cheap shopping quickly turns into a nationwide slump, and history shows that a deflationary freeze is incredibly difficult to escape. That 2% target acts as a steady nudge for the economy. A tiny, predictable loss in value means sitting on piles of cash is a losing strategy. This gives consumers and businesses a vital incentive to spend and invest their money today, which keeps the system moving. This slight rise in prices also acts as a safety valve for employment. If a company faces a tough year, that 2% inflation effectively lowers their real labor costs. This allows them to keep their staff on the payroll during a lean season instead of having to resort to layoffs. A grocery cart that shrinks just a tiny fraction each year is the mechanism that ensures the grocery store will still be in business tomorrow. Managing inflation is a delicate balancing act. To make sure your own financial literacy doesn't lose its value, subscribe to Staiblocks, and we'll see you in the next video.